India is preparing to send an astronaut into space on an Indian rocket from Indian soil to the Gaganyaan program. One country which has tremendous experience in the human space flight is the United States of America. I have with me Sam Scimemi. He is the director of the International Space Station for the American Space Agency. Sam, what is the experience America has in the astronaut program, and can it be shared with India?
So we were actually in discussions with the Indian Space Agency on astronaut human health and performance. We have many years experience along with the Russians in human health and performance and what it means to keep humans alive and healthy in space and low Earth orbit, but also the research that we're doing to send humans beyond low Earth orbit to the moon and Mars.
I distinctly remember I was there when the joint statement was signed at the very highest level between the President of America and the Prime Minister of India, where there was discussion on the human space flight and the astronaut program. Subsequently, Boeing also said they would do. What happened? The Russians took the cake away. They got the meat.
Well, what I will say is that Israel is on a very tight schedule. And I think that our discussions with Israel is long-term in nature. Human spaceflight is not just a one flight or two flight, it's over many decades. So we're supportive of Israel's activities. It's still within the international partnership that we have for space station with the Russians, Europeans, Japanese, and Canadians. So we look forward to cooperating with Israel, not only just with NASA, but all the international space station partners.
So meaning, beyond this, beyond the first training exercise, NASA could still step in and train Indian astronauts?
So we're still in discussions with Israel on training astronauts in the long term and other cooperative activities.
What people in ISRO told me was NASA is very expensive. They charge so much money. The Russians were much cheaper. Couldn't you have done it cheaper?
Well, I don't know anything about what prices were discussed between NASA and Israel. But again, this is a long-term relationship building, not just a point of price.
So there is possibility of Indians and Americans cooperating in human space flight and the astronaut program in the future.
I think, of course, there is. I think it's not just cooperation with NASA, but also with the U.S. industry as well.
And what about America as a government agency gave up on the option of having their own rockets for access to space? SpaceX and Boeing were the chosen partners. How is that program going? You recently had an important test by SpaceX.
Yeah, so we have two commercial crew providers, SpaceX and Boeing, like you mentioned. There have been important tests for both Boeing and SpaceX here in the last couple of months. So they're just two of the companies that we're utilizing for low Earth orbit. The other ones are, again, SpaceX for cargo, Northrop Grumman for cargo, and also Sierra Nevada, which we hope to be flying here shortly. But private, we've turned basically transportation in low Earth orbit to private industry. Now to go to the moon and to Mars, NASA is building its own rocket for the Artemis program to send astronauts to the moon and then eventually to Mars.
So how soon would we see an American astronaut going on a private American spaceship into space?
Well, we're hoping this year.
And would that include a woman?
The space station crews are very diverse. So we expect women to be on those crews as well as men, as well as our international partners to be also flying on these spaceships.
President Trump had announced that America would go back to the moon. And how is that program progressing?
So we're building the rocket right now. The first test of the SLS and Orion's space capsule will be within a year, and then for the crewed flight within a couple of years. So we're on track to get that part of it done, and we're just now starting to look at the contracting for the landing system itself to be able to put that on contract hopefully here this winter or spring.
See, 12 male astronauts have landed on the moon. There is great hope on this next phase there would be a woman with the Is there a possibility? And one of the candidates in the crew right now is Sunita Williams. Could she be one of the first female crew to land on the moon?
I won't speak for Suni, but I think that we have said that we want the next person to step on the moon to be a woman. So it will certainly be, from NASA's standpoint, it will be the first person to step back on the moon will be a woman.
Sunita Williams stands a very good chance.
I don't know about it. She has a very good chance, but we also have other Indian American astronauts as well. We just selected one.
Yes, Mr. Chari is there.
Chari is there as well. So he probably won't be the first, since it will be a woman. So we look forward to that selection activity here, hopefully in the near future.
On the Gaganyaan program, the Americans showed that in the lower orbit that it would be private agencies would face. India is spending close to $1.5 billion on the first effort to send probably a 1 to 3 member crew into space. Do you think it would have been more opportune and economic for India to have bought space on the SpaceX or Boeing Starliner to go into space rather than create a nationalistic movement to try and have an own program?
Well, from a perspective of building a national capability and national pride and national infrastructure, if you just bought it from, say, the Russians or the Americans, you're not building anything here in India. So that having your own space program and your own capability provides jobs, inspiration, and economic activity here in India instead of just trying to purchase it from someone else.
India does its space program very frugally. The Mars Orbiter mission was a sub-$100 million mission. So was Chandrayaan-1, which was a sub-$100 million mission. Do you think the Americans would get a run for their money? You spend billions while Indians can do stuff in millions in human space flight?
Well, I think having more spacecraft in space and more people in space is a benefit to everyone.
So in future, is there one small message you have for India's Gaganyaan program, which is the astronaut program?
Well, we wish you very good luck and very hope this brings the country together like it has in the United States. NASA has provided inspiration and something to rally behind in the United States, and hopefully your program here to send first Indians into space will also bring India together and provide inspiration.
In the Head of Space Agency panel, there was discussion that in future, when there is another space station, India could be one of the important, if not the prime players. You, as the director of the International Space Station for NASA, do you think India can be an important player in the future space station? We lost out on the first space station.
Well, the first space stations were many years ago. So the space station we have today, as you know, has 5 major partners. The partners are always looking for future participants to participate in the space station that we have today, the ISS. So if any ever expresses interest in coming, we are certainly open to that. We're also open to jointly participating in any activities that India may propose in the future for its space station.
In India, people want to know who certifies American rockets and crew modules. Is it the FAA or is it NASA? Who certifies them that they are human rated?
By U.S. law, NASA does that. For government astronauts, the government astronaut is going to be on a spacecraft. NASA is responsible for doing the human spaceflight certification.
FAA is not involved.
FAA is not involved in that portion.
Isn't that the same thing that you have the judge and the jury and the executioner in the same domain?
Well, all this is done by law. So by law, NASA is set up to be the agency to do all those things.
India and America also have one of the most expensive Earth observation satellites, NISA, and it's over $1 billion. Looking at Earth, mapping Earth. You are a human spaceflight person. I'm not sure whether you are on top of the NISA project. Is that something which the Americans are looking forward to?
I think I don't know about this particular program, but I do know in earth science, NASA cooperates with agencies from around the world in sharing earth science data and sharing the results of research that's happening. So I don't know about this particular program, but if NASA would be interested, they would be talking to.
Any opportunity for an Indian astronaut to go to the International Space Station, even though I remember NASA had proposed that at one point, and it didn't happen. The space shuttle had a problem at that stage. But beyond that, now that India has an astronaut corps, is there a possibility of an Indian astronaut going to the International Space Station?
That would certainly be a possibility, yes.
And in future, can there be a joint mission where you have an American astronaut and an Indian astronaut traveling together into space and looking down on the world's largest democracy and the world's oldest democracy together?
I think all that's possible, yes.
So there is a huge amount of cooperation which is possible.
It's a huge amount of cooperation that is possible.
So that was Dr. Sam telling us that India and America have a bright future in space collaboration. In times to come, if all goes well, there could be a time when an Indian astronaut and an American astronaut could well together be looking down on Earth. India is the world's largest democracy and America the oldest. So when the two join hands, magic can happen. In Bangalore, Pallava, Bagla.